Hello, and welcome back to Black Girl Magic Book Chat, Women's History Month edition. My name is Larissa McNeil, and I am the African American Resource Center Coordinator for the Tulsa City County Library. In this role, I get to share various aspects of Black culture and Black history with you all, and this is one of the ways that I have been able to do that. So, we are back with our final iteration of this series. Over the past few years, I have been coming out and sharing books by Black and African American women over the past few years. And I've also been doing it for Halloween, thriller books, mystery books by Black and African American authors in general. And so this is it for my Women's History Month and Halloween editions. I will return to do these book chats when we come back for our Sankofa years. And so for people who do not know, the Sankofa Freedom Award is a biennial award that we give to Black or African American authors who do the work of writing about Black stories, Black history, Black culture in a way that kind of helps to define the narrative. And so we've had writers like Nikki Giovanni and Terry McMillan who've won, writers like Hill Harper and Dr. Eric Michael Dyson. And so we'll be back in 2027 with, I don't know yet, but once I know, I'm going to sit down and read those books to get us all hyped for our 2027 winner. So until then, enjoy these books by Black women this month. So let's buckle up. I have got, I think, some great books for you all. I'm excited to go out with a blast. And so let's, get into our very first book of the month. You all. So this was the book that I chose called Allow Me to Introduce Myself. I've been practicing her name and I'm still going to get it wrong. Onyi Nwabineli. I think that's correct. She is I want to say Nigerian author, African author, British, I think, living in that area, but Nigerian author. And this book, Allow Me to Introduce Myself, was, in a word, excellent and so timely. So this book explores the life of okay, so I actually looked up how to pronounce the main character's name too. So the main character is Nigerian, has an Igbo name, and the way it's spelled out phonetically in English phonetics, it would probably read Onori, right? And so I looked up how to pronounce it, and it's you all Onori. So the author actually did a video of how to pronounce it. Please go look at that. And she even said that sometimes for ease she just says Onori. I practiced before this video, but I couldn't get it, and that's on me. So I'm going to mispronounce her name, and I just want to name that the author said that sometimes she uses for ease, so I'm going to use it for ease in this video. But it is an Igbo name, Anwar Anuri, 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 for the purpose of this video. So she is a former child social media star who is working to reclaim her life, so to speak, after years and years of so-called fame at the expense of her mother's social media mommy blogging. This part of her life starts innocently enough. So, after losing his wife and the mother of his newborn, Honori's father leaves all that he knows in Onitsha, Nigeria, to begin anew in London, where his older sister is already living. Now, his decision to go to London is kind of a mixed decision. So, before his wife passed away, they were thinking or talking about going together. And after her death, he is overcome with grief, right? Like he has lost his other halves. And so this grief kind of propels him to just leave. And it's hard to go from a unit with a woman that you adore to taking care of a newborn who doesn't have a mother. So we see how that grief influences several of the decisions that he makes that in turn affect his daughter. Enter Ophelia. Ophelia is a nurse that he meets one night Honori gets really, really sick, and so he takes her to the ER and he meets this nurse. Eventually, she kind of becomes a part of something like a home nursing thing for him, dropping by a few times a week to help out with Honori. They fall in love and they get married. And Honori loves her, right? Like, this is a woman who is taking care of her. And it, for all intents and purposes, is the only mother figure she knows. You know, she's a arm baby, you know, and so all she knows that this is the feminine person who is, you know, hugging me and loving me. And so that Honori loves her. However, Nakim, the dad, his sister, and his wife's parents back in Nigeria don't necessarily approve. They think it's far too soon. She's also a white woman, which is not for them ideal. Um, but you know, Ophelia loves this family. So Ophelia, in a bid to sort of share Honori's life and her growth, creates a blog. And she says that this is ostensibly to be able to share pictures with Honori's grandparents who live on another continent. So she starts posting these pictures as a way to, you know, share about the growth that this little baby is going through. Because, you know, babies grow so fast. And then it takes off. And Ophelia begins to document every single part of their lives, curating this image of this perfect blended family. And so this book is set before kind of family influencers and mommy bloggers were really popular in the way that they are now. And so we see that Ophelia is really able to reel people in because of this fascination that humans have with other humans, right? We as a human being, we are curious about other people, and so I think that's why social media is what it is. And so we see this blog take off, and unfortunately, she does this at the expense of Honori's sense of self and her relationship and their relationship with each other. When we meet Honori in this book, she's 25 years old and she is fighting to gain control of her life. And at the same time, save her little sister, Noelle, who is going through this exact same experience. She's 25, like I said, and she has spent essentially her entire life on the internet. And people think they know her. Imagine walking down the street and strangers just come up to you and hug you because they think they know you, because they've seen your life, right, on the internet. Imagine finding out that like as a child, that grown adults have pictures of you as a baby on their phone, but they don't know you. They've only seen you on the internet. Imagine knowing that you started as a young woman, you started your menses, and that was blasted for the world to see. Imagine at your 6th birthday party, not being able to play with all the toys or eat the birthday cake because they all have to stay pristine for pictures, right? Like, imagine being bribed by your parents to behave for interviews to the point where your relationship with your parents becomes a transaction. They're no longer just mom and dad. They are the people who have monetized your existence. And so when you ask for a break, they tell you that you're selfish, even though this is not something you asked for. This is something that they decided was true for your life. And your dissent is a problem. This book delves into all of that. the exploitation that occurs, the neglect. There are so many instances of in this book of Kim Honori's father just letting things happen to her, to him even, so that because speaking up would ruffle the waters. It's hard to read, honestly. I think about mommy influencers I recently, a couple months ago, watched this documentary on Hulu. That's all I do is watch documentaries. I watched this documentary on Hulu about Ruby Frankie. Ruby Frankie was a mommy influencer who got really popular years and years ago for, posting these videos on YouTube with her family. I think it was I forget the name of it, but there were several kids and It was popular, millions and millions of followers. This is how they made a living. Um, and she was recently imprisoned for abusing her children. And because the life of a mom influencer or a family influencer means that everything that you do is fodder for internet, she put it online. And so there was so much evidence because she put it online. And the husband, Ruby Frankie's husband, just stood by and let it all happen. And while there was no physical abuse in this book, no one abused anyone in that way. We still see how harm comes to Honori and Noel. There's extremely racist comments on these things that kids are seeing. Images of one of these children end up on a website designed for perverted men, and the parents don't put a real end to it, because to do that would mean to lose their way of life, because this is a lucrative life. Humans need to study other humans makes that true. I have my own love-hate relationship with social media. I think that it is in equal parts devastating and a treasure. I find some of the funniest things, some of the kindest things, some of the most thought-provoking things online. But I think that the distance that social media creates, because you're behind the screen, right? That distance makes for people to feel like they can say some of the vilest things to you. Um, and this book has also made me think about how social media has kind of caused this rise in what we call parasocial relationships. This sort of one-sided relationship, right? Where I follow these people online. I don't know them, but they're funny or they're engaging. And so I click follow. And now on my feed, I'm swiping and I see, the kids' birthday parties. I see the kids' first day of school. I see mom going to the grocery store. And I start to feel like, and I say I generally, but people start to feel like they know them. This idea that because strangers put pieces of their lives online for consumption, we're friends. That's not true, right? And so this book really delves into what that means and how Anuri, who is in her 20s, has never had a life of her own, has to deal with people thinking that because her mom, monetized her, they know who she is as a person. There was so much to like about this book. The writing is lovely. I know that the author has one other book out that I am headed to pick up because I really, really like her prose. And despite the strained relationship that Honori has with her parents, she's got a fabulous couple of friends. And as a friend person, I adore my friends. I was really excited to read about a person who had good friends. Um, so that was also refreshing. I really enjoyed the way that Onyi wrote that relationship that she has with them. She's also really close with her grandparents and her aunt, her grandparents, her mom's parents, and then her dad's sister. Um, and it's clear that onward. I'm gonna practice, y'all. I promise. That she is struggling to figure out who she is outside of this sphere of Ophelia's blog. She's still strong and she's capable and she is working. She's doing the work to better herself. She's in therapy. And even when she stumbles and makes decisions that we might think are poor decisions, they are backed up by reasoning that makes sense for the space that she's in. So I really like this character because this was a real character. This was someone that I could see myself, if not friends with, like knowing, right? Because she's 25, so I don't have any 25-year-old friends. But if I did, I could see, being her friend because she's a real person with real issues, but a very kind heart. And I appreciated um, the author for like not making her some sort of caricature, right? Like some sort of um, like that the life she lived made her it's hard. I didn't write that part down. Usually I write things down. But what I'm trying to say is that I just really appreciate the reality that this book is set in and the way that you could see this really being true. Because it is for a lot of children of influencers. Because even in this book at the end, you kind of hear about, other people who were in her situation being glad that she was able to take a stand because they felt like they couldn't. So go pick it up. I don't think that you'll be disappointed. I really, really don't. This is the large print cover, and then there's a cover that is for regular print in America and then in US, and then regular print for I think the UK. But this is what the large print cover looks like. Y'all see these glasses? I can't see. I have to use large print. So thank you for listening to me ramble about this book. Go pick it up. I enjoyed it. I think that you will too. I'll be back I'll be back next week with my next book. I hope that you'll join me. Until then, thank you for watching Black Girl Magic Book Chat, Women's History Month edition.